Welcome to 187 episode of DevKami. My name is Swimming,
I am Tristan,
and
and we have
Chil- yeah,
Chilyong, which is zombified right now.
Why
yeah,
do I really look like a zombie?
yeah. I blame 3D printer does, but he disclaimed it, and also
Yeah,
You have no idea
Isn't-
the safety precaution I put in.
Isn't it the Hungry Ghost month right now?
Oh yeah, it's
And Chilyong is
it's
just
that time of the
perfectly
month.
zombified.
Yeah,
It's that
I
time of
beg
the
late.
month.
I beg late all the time, which is against the advice of most Chinese people.
Yes,
Okay.
and also
Well,
today.
before we
Uh-huh.
start this, I'll just say that I'm in the middle of installing the NVIDIA drivers on my
Yep.
Linux system. And so this is so basically we're playing with the bleeding edge. Well, not really playing with the
Yes.
bleeding edge. We're playing with danger here.
I,
I
I,
might just drop off when it decides to not run anymore. But I'll try
I
to
think
come back.
what might be dangerous is that I'm actually soldering like playing with the parts right now. So I think that's the one also.
Okay. Today's
Yes.
the danger episode. So Swimming, what's the dangerous thing you're doing right now?
Okay, so a few things I'm going to
Showing
show
us
you
your
guys.
browser history, basically.
Yes. No. Okay. First thing first. Today episode number is not a prime number. Also, in fact, it's multiplication of two prime number, 11 times 17, which is actually one of those numbers that we use to teach student how to use RSA, how RSA works. Which I don't remember how it works on the top of my head. So just so you know. So the second thing is PyCon Malaysia is looking for volunteer.
Okay,
So
I'm restarting. See you on the other side.
Yep, correct. So they're looking for volunteer. If you're in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, they can help. So they need help in why I make it so small. La 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 la. They're looking for social media.
When is it
and
gonna happen?
It's on 19 up to 18 September. So yeah, I'll be there for reasons. Actually, people in the community already know, in the circle already know. Just announcement for it. What else? Yeah, that's about it, lah. Oh yeah, actually the last one is once in Sabah, during conference, I will interview the local tech community, and there is a small and active tech community there. It's pretty centralized,
I
so
would say
I
it's
possibly
pretty
can cover
big
the whole
also.
thing. Yep. So as a result, I think it's possible for me to interview pretty much the whole tech community, at least in that city. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So I actually look forward to the interview on that day. So that's it. Let's start with it work.
Interesting.
Tristan is back. Yep.
It works now. Now I'm not
Nice.
like 10 frames per second. Everything
Cool.
is
Nice, but you didn't
fast
look
now.
like 10 frames per second for me anyway just now.
really.
Yeah,
Like,
it's still a bit slower, but not that
Yeah.
slow.
no, because
So
my
nothing
mouse was
happened.
also like lagging. I can't even like move things around. But now
Okay.
it's a lot better with the
Right.
proprietary NVIDIA driver. Unfortunately,
Makes
if you
sense.
need like to get the most performance out of your devices, you have to go for the proprietary ones. I've been
Yes.
using Novo for the longest time, but yeah, unfortunately, it's too slow.
Correct. It's not really great. It's compatible. It's very awesome for cards that is old, because you just need to work. But it's not so great if you want high performance things. So that's that lah. So events, we have nothing happening next week. So move on.
Fun.
Well, we were talking about this yesterday. Sorry, 2 days ago with the Ruby meetup. So because last Tuesday was the first Ruby meetup we had where it was hybrid. So some people
Yep.
were in the office eating pizza, and then the rest of of course, the presenters were also on StreamYard, and the hosts were on StreamYard, and there were like 4 or 5 people, sometimes 6 people watching the stream concurrently. And so that was an interesting one. So it just doesn't. It's very difficult to replicate the extemporaneous or like the the communication that you have when you're physically in the same place. Like
Yeah.
the flow of conversations is much smoother, whereas in online you have to like try and say I want to speak or something like that, because otherwise you'll be
Correct.
talking on top of each other, right? So it's very difficult in that case.
Yeah.
So
Actually, human
hopefully,
works on cue.
yeah, you hopefully this calendar becomes a lot better
Mm-hmm.
next few months, because right now
Yeah.
we still have the skeleton, but hopefully
Uh,
we get to fill in more.
I'm probably do some eating stuff, not really on
Mm.
the
Are
technical
you
stuff.
doing a mukbang YouTube channel? Maybe no. You can
but
put it on.
No,
You can
eating
stream
as
it on
in
Engineer
just get
Smile.
out to find food,
Mm.
yeah.
like what we
Yeah,
used to do before COVID.
Yeah.
sure.
Correct. I
Or
might
you
do
can
that. I
just
need a
like
holiday.
hijack one of the meetups, like the September 6th one. We're doing a
Yeah.
Ruby meetup again. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, or at least I'm preparing, talk about protocol buffers. So if you're
Yeah.
Oh,
doing
okay.
Go stuff as well, then you might want to come hijack the thing. It's going to be how you use it for Ruby, but it's mostly about protocol buffers. So come
Yeah.
and correct me when I say the wrong things.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do something. For me, I might have
No,
some holidays
I think
soon.
I think it's that Tristan should
Uh-huh.
say I'm gonna say something wrong. Come and correct me.
Yeah.
Come
Come
if
and
you
correct
dare.
me.
Yes.
It's a
So I might
dare.
have a holiday soon because
Yay.
I'm almost done with the AWS technical review, which in my opinion a bit ridiculous for a small team. On the other hand, it's a good idea to do for a big team. So and the line to cross to that is actually very very thin. Okay,
I think you guys are
especially
considered a
in
big team already. Considered a medium-sized big team already.
yeah. So the line to cross over is actually quite thin to be honest.
So when you
So
say
it's
that the
quite easy
line is
now.
thin, that means you know exactly how many people there should be before
Uh,
you use AWS, and if you have one more person use
no, it's
AWS,
more of
one less. Hmm.
no, it's more like okay. So one of the biggest thing that one on the Amazon technical review is things like uh, user permission, use proper
Mm.
roles. So there'll be a time where you finally decide that you do not want your engineer to do tech support. So
Yeah.
you will have a dedicated technical support engineer, level 2 engineer finally, instead of direct to the actual engineer. So then that's where you start. So that depends on the volume of work actually, how
Mm.
disruptive the work come in, disrupt the flow. So it's less of a number, more of a flow, and also that also depends on industry and type of customers. So if you're on
Hmm.
a very sensitive industry, then all the permission need to be more fine tuned earlier than later, right? You're talking about medicine, medical, and all that. You need to do it earlier than later. Something like
Hmm.
data labeling, maybe not so early, but until you have the customer that really demands it. You get the idea, right? So
Yep.
that those are the line. Those are the line. So that's the hard part, lah. And also, they will suggest things like I will talk more about this later. Let's talk about the news.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Focus,
So
you
the
know what is
first
this?
what?
Apparently, a lot of people didn't know what it is, but you see it all the time. The tape.
This is I don't know, cassette
This is
tape.
this is a Captain tape.
What is a captain tape?
Captain tape is a heat insulated tape for heat.
Oh.
Yeah, but
I
it
don't have
doesn't
it here.
Uh,
I have
it
one
doesn't
in the car
last.
as well.
But it doesn't last long though. It's a very
It's not very sticky as well.
uh,
It's
mhm.
not
it's
very
for
sticky.
heat
It doesn't
insulation.
last long. Hmm.
Mm.
So you'll
So this
notice,
is
for example, some of your, I think you've seen it. Some of your
Battery.
USB,
Normally battery has it.
ah
yeah, your
yeah, battery
The
has
yellow
electronics.
tape.
yeah,
Not just batteries. I think some of your electronics, Simeng, like
yeah,
some of the electronics that are covered in yellow film. That's Kapton tape.
yeah.
So you
Apparently, I
just
got it in
don't
the
peel it
office
off.
and I asked around, and not many can recognize it. So that's why.
It's it's one of those material that do not know it exists, but it's there,
Yeah.
lah.
Or if you buy like lithium batteries from let's say Citron, right? Like the normal ones. It has Captain tape. Let me see if I can find some here. For example, no, wait. This is custom, but you'll probably see it something like this. So, well, this is custom, right? So it's on the so it's probably here. It's on the battery, right? Because it is usually you'll find it a lot on lithium ion, because lithium ions tend to like catch on fire and become
correct.
very very hot, and it's
Yeah,
dangerous, and
correct.
so you don't want your terminals to melt along with that very hot thing, and that's why
Correct,
you
correct.
wrap them around in Captain tape.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have to focus. Swimming, why are you deviating a lot?
Yes. So the first one is Bank Islam is using AWS as a cloud provider, which is very interesting because it means either that there'll be a separation between the both, because AWS have a type of solution called
the hybrid cloud thing.
Yeah, it's a hybrid cloud thing. So there's two situations here. One is they use some of the non-sensitive data on AWS, you're talking about API gateway and all that, but those are routed through their thing so that you can treat the internal cloud that is hosted in Malaysia as their own cloud, so you will share the same API. So that feeling tells me is that, but I could be wrong. It could be suddenly.
But the main thing is that Malaysian companies and also government agencies, they get a go ahead to go to cloud.
Correct. So yeah, so that's a good thing. Bank Islam is not like the most progressive around, but they are one of the big ones. So if they adopt, the rest may follow, right? So yeah, and maybe unfortunately also means that bank CIMB might crash again. Who knows? You may not withdraw from money from CIMB again. Who knows? So yeah, AWS on Bank Islam. I'm hoping to see more bank doing that lah. Next one. So do you know that your Sony camera? Okay, my Sony camera actually can install app on it. There's actually an SDK for it, but it's not easy to use or easy to submit. So this guy create application for Android-based Sony camera. So because the Alpha series, 7 series, is using a type.
Did you get your DALI yet?
No, I did not.
I would say you should get one. It's just that it will just enlist the queue.
Yep.
And it's so easy to finish the credits.
Okay, yeah, it is easy. So that's a thing.
Fast.
So either way,
to change things over
correct.
and over.
So this guy written an app so they can upload the image to DALI, so they can generate different view to have an idea what is the alternative photo can take. So this one is a photo that's taken on the 35mm and all that, right? Then this is generated by DALI to improve it, to have a different, to simulate different view from the camera, a potential different view from the camera. So these are not taken by camera; they only take the camera and they try to generate different thing for them to see lah. So for example, this is the original. Then DALI to generate more. So it does not replace the camera, but it gives you an idea from this view, what's the potential view you can take, and where can you go from there. And that to me is interesting. So this is one of those cases where machine learning algorithm actually help improve the tools.
You know, courts, they don't accept digital photography as evidence anymore.
Yeah, correct, and that's an issue. So something to think about. So yeah lah. But as you see, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, for example.
But it's actually horrible for text.
Yeah, correct. But it gives you an idea what's the potential, so that so this looks nice, then you should go and actually take the photo. This does not replace photography yet. But on the other hand, using this app will get the account automatically banned because web scraping tool is a violation of terms and condition. So yeah lah. So this app will ban your account, but it shows the potential lah. Maybe OpenAI will actually show more of this lah in the future. And also, I just realized that Sony, some of the Sony camera is actually using a type of Android, which is fascinating. Let me find me ELF A6000. What's the number for A6000? I find out later. So to DALL-E news again. So this is a document. And what kind of prompt you can use to tune your DALL-E images, which is interesting.
It's a very detailed document. I like it.
Yes.
I had a look at it. It's a very detailed.
Yeah, it's a bit hacky. It's a bit like what's the thing called? SEO, except this is actually tuning another system, which is interesting. So yeah. So we should try. You know what? I will get the account. I should try this. Why? I don't know.
You should get one.
Yeah,
it's a matter of time.
Yep. So, and this comes to example as well. So if you want it, read this PDF. It's awesome. So I'm going to move on. Punch card simulator, because why not?
Did you ever use a punch card?
No.
I actually worked in a place where punch card was used.
So, but on the IBM Z series operating system, the command language is called JCL. It's called Job Command Language. Job
SAP,
Command.
In SAP, a person is called card.
Okay.
So that might
cool.
be related.
Yeah. So JCL had a limit of 80 characters. Actually, COBOL had a limit of 80 characters. And the reason it's 80 characters is because the card have 80 characters maximum. So as a result, in a way, I did use a card because JCL organized very similar to card. So Legend have it. I never seen before. Beside the IBM mainframe, Z series mainframe is an actual card reader, which is placed there just in case, but never used. Almost no one use it in the modern day. So, yeah. So I never used before, but the technology I used to use when I did work with the mainframe do have punch card like analogy, because those things are that old, which is very ridiculous. So Silent Green are people.
Which is very ridiculous.
So this is what?
No, I think it's pretty funny, but your remarks about where it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move on. So to use that as an emulator, you print out the card. The card is generated from an image. You just print out the card, punch the hole yourself, and load it to the card reader. You just have to make sure the size are compatible. This is interesting because for multiple reasons, and also I want to clarify a few things. No, I need to apologize a bit. So let's start. Linus actually using an Apple M2 to test Linux compatibility with the Apple CPU. What else? He actually used it just to test it and merge the code. So it's not necessary for day-to-day things. And as it turns out, as I discovered earlier, somewhat related to this, Apple M2 CPU have to be usable by other operating system for a lot of reasons. One is something that the designer want to do, and number two is when you load an operating system, before you load an operating system, sometimes you need to load an emergency operating system in an emergency, and those tend not to be met. So you need to load an alternative operating system for repair, for loading keys, etc. So there's a lot of practical reason to actually load another operating system for a CPU. So in this case, the Apple M2 CPU have to actually work with another operating system. So yeah lah. And it's actually a form of Fedora, by the way, Fedora for ARM.
What? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know about this.
You mean the CPU have to work with another operating system?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Linus is
Is that I didn't know it's a Fedora.
Yeah, apparently it's a Fedora from Twitter somewhere. So yeah, that happened. So yeah lah. That the Asahi guys probably won't get any help from Apple, but it will guarantee to bootable because the CPU architecture must work on third-party operating system. That's the rules. So it will work, and which is a good thing if you want to use if the system is not supported anymore, you need a third-party operating system to extend the life. So and which is why that will be very awesome. So I'm going to move on. Zig on WASI in Worker. So you can use WASI is actually a WebAssembly runtime, right? WebAssembly system interface on Worker. So with this, Cloudflare shows an example to use Zig, a compiled language, to use on Cloudflare Worker.
Zig, from what I understand, is also a C compiler, right?
Yep, correct. It compiled to C. So what happened is from the build then it built to C. Then they use WASI to take the binary out. So Zig build target was wasm32 WASI then get it out. Then then you just upload to Worker publish to Worker. So there's no code change. Apparently,
is there any benefit of using this compared to like Python or JavaScript, because it's running on the platform anyway, right?
I do not know if this support Python. I do not know if I do not know if it support that. JavaScript is given because Cloudflare Worker have native support for JavaScript. Python, I do not know.
I have to check it out.
Yeah,
it's literally came free with our Cloudflare account anyway, for at least for some quota.
yeah,
right?
correct.
You know what? I a long time ago, it's not about Cloudflare, but about Have I Been On?
Yeah.
They actually switched to is Lambda-like function, but it's actually on Azure. So it became like on-demand request,
Mm-hmm.
it somehow saved him a lot of cost of hosting costs.
Correct. So that's actually one of the reasons why use a Cloudflare Worker, because they promise something lower cost and all that, and it's not like a Lambda runtime. In some case, it makes sense actually. Lambda does make sense if you actually control your access very well. So for example, if you cache a lot, then you definitely save a lot of money. So you only need to call your Lambdas or your workers as needed.
I think one thing is you complete first.
So yeah, you just have to know how to use it, because if you just naively use it, of course, it'll be expensive either way.
I think also one of the selling point of Cloudflare offering this is the latency, right?
Correct, because it's very close to the network. Because think about it, right? When you when you use Cloudflare will be an intermediary. Then they do not own any infrastructure. Everything have to go through a backend somewhere, right? It could be AWS, it could be a Linode server, etc. It does not matter. It's somewhere. So by putting Cloudflare Worker, they're actually very close to the CDN. So it's closer to the network. So whatever process the customer see first, they will closer than whatever backend your provider provide.
You know something that I discovered this week. We actually had to work. I'm not sure if you heard about it. Do you know about NPLS?
NPLS is
It's a VPN lighting, but it exists on layer 2.5.
Oh,
It's something we have to do with payment gateway.
yeah.
And we need
Okay.
the big, and it's actually considered peer to peer, but for gateways. As in,
Yep.
that's why we need the telco. We have to send telco. Like in our case, it's a TM, a
Yep.
request to add us into the network.
Oh.
But it's an obsolete thing, lah. I would consider.
Yeah. Dinosaur exists.
Yeah. Very troublesome as well.
Yes. Despite the extinction of dinosaurs that still exist, we call them birds.
We call them chicken.
Yeah. Ignore me. We're crazy.
Well, they're long. How do you say? They're a far descendant of the dinosaurs. You can trace the lineage. It's like like a royalty, right?
Yeah. Correct.
You can trace your bloodline from your farthest ancestors.
Correct.
In the case of like birds, like it's like thousands of years back.
Yeah.
And they're actually descended from the dinosaurs.
Correct. So okay, just know that this exists. You should try it because this month is Merdeka month. So Merdeka month.
Ghost month. It's the Hungry Ghost month, or depends on which is.
Apparently, apparently. I'm not sure if Tristan know about it. You know about Bon Odori, right?
Yep.
Bon Odori is the Hungry Ghost month for the Japanese.
Correct. So yes, which is why people they ask you to be respectful for this reason. Actually, it's okay not for ghost, for ancestor, for the ancestor. So yeah, I'm going to move on before you guys got distracted again. Yes, this one, architecture reference for startup. I think some of this is a bit too early. I mean, it makes sense, but a bit too early. For example, I think this single region
too early for what? What do you mean too early for
startup?
Public
startup to run
for a startup. I mean, you mean for
the main point of a startup is to get money first, right?
Yeah. Correct. On the other hand, this is this part, the part on business logic to database that's reasonable. The reporting maybe something later. So, in the hand, that makes sense, but do you need to split your business logic with so many load balancer, or you can just put it into one Rails application, right? So I don't know, man.
Well, it depends. So if the logic is getting hammered, then that's one of the ways you can scale your application. Yeah, but the thing is that's the thing, right? The important thing there is you have a measure.
Yeah, correct. You have a measure.
Always measure first.
Yes, correct. You don't just decide that we should do this because this look good, and
it's just a cargo cult if it's not.
Yep. Then you thought like Cockroach Lab Cockroach Lab can scale. Maybe you should listen to them, right? Yeah, but do you know why they do it this way?
And there's a lot of overhead also for this kind of scaling.
Correct, precisely.
It might not make sense for a small team.
Yes, precisely. That being said, it's a good idea once you know you need it. This is a good idea to start looking at. It probably, but if you don't feel the pain now, you probably do not need it. To be honest, if you don't feel any issue on things getting slow, or customer load time,
do not let this stop you.
Correct. Think about this, but and also everything about startup is really about cost. It's about cost. At this time, at this moment, what should you pay for first? Often that is feature, to be honest. Often that is feature because the sales need it, the customer wants it, because that is already sold to the customer. Then bugs, that's the second thing. But once you're stable, maybe bugs first. But once you realize that the bug keep happening because of all these things, then you start thinking about your infrastructure in a low way. So on the other hand, you can fix it later. On the other hand, it pays to plan now.
Yep.
But you don't have to do it now.
It's not stop the world kind of planning like, I have to wait for the best solution.
You're not going to get it. I'm sorry. You won't get it. So that being said, Yep, architecture, but it's still a good article in the way that they show you how things could work. I just don't just know that it takes a while for you to reach there lah. Next one. 35K repository infected with raw code, but what this didn't say is it's only the unofficial fork that hit it.
It's just
I
an
think he
attempt.
cleared it as well. It's not the 35,000 repos. It's 35,000 hits. The
Yeah.
repos are a lot
Okay.
lower than 35,000. It's just because
Yep.
you can't edit on Twitter because
Yep.
Elon Musk failed to buy Twitter, so we don't have
Okay,
a way to edit tweets.
correct. So it's the fork that had it, not the actual repository.
Yeah, it's an attempt to try to merge into the upstream.
Correct. So yeah, if you have a upstream project, lucky devil, because I'm not you guys. Do check your pull request. But yeah lah. If for most of us, just how I would say it, just be careful. Just be careful when you download your repo and all that, and also just do not probably just delay a while. Do not always take the latest patch. Maybe wait for a while and take something a bit. Let them fail first. You don't have. That's how the mammals survived the dinosaur, by the way. So the dinosaurs are big, so that's the only thing got hit first, and the mammals go underground and scavenge whatever left. It comes later, so we survive. So that's yeah. You don't have to be the earliest lah. Ask the dinosaur, right? So yeah lah. Just be careful on the internet. I'm gonna move on. This one. So remember just now we talked about serverless and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that potentially useful with that. So how this works is nowadays DNS are not just done over DNS protocol; they're also done over HTTPS, which is interesting. Also scary, but one step at a time. So with this serverless resolver, written in JavaScript, of course, which I don't like, but it is what it is. You can run it on Cloudflare workers. You can do it on deploy. I do not know where this goes. And fly.io, again, I do not know where the hell is this. Where is fly.io? Let me go over. So, interesting. So yeah. So yes, with this then you do not need to. I suspect it's possible to run this on Lambda because it's HTTP, so it's possible.
I don't see why he wants to do it.
The reason for that is there's no reason. It's the same reason why certain people. It's the same reason
why we. Normally we put a resolver is for the cage, so it should be fast.
Yes.
Or for like internal domains as well.
For like Pi-hole, the ad blocking is just the secondary for me.
Yeah. So you're right. Yeah, you're right. I do not know. I mean, apparently this is an interesting concept. I do not know why they do that, but
I don't know. Probably you have a serverless inside your home network.
Yeah, actually, the reason why they use people use serverless is because you don't have to worry about infrastructure, because which is almost not.
Yeah, but for home networking, good luck trying to not worry about infrastructure.
Correct. Because in this case, you do it. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not a wrong idea, it's not the wrong idea in a way, because some people just want the Pi-hole, but they don't want to care about infrastructure, etc. Some people just want to use things, but not this. But on the other hand, this is why you have proxy. You can set up your own proxy server and run it locally for this, right? I don't know, man. To be honest, I really don't know. But it's just interesting to me that Cloudflare worker can do this kind of thing. That's the only thing interesting for me, really. So yeah. And final one. So this is photogrammetry. Do you know what is photogrammetry?
Yeah.
No.
It's sort of derive 3D from 2D images.
Correct. So you should watch this show. Let me see whether I can get this. It's my porn site. Just kidding. It's Hotstar. You should
At one
watch
time we tried
this.
to do it, but it's too
It's a lot of work.
time-consuming and yeah.
Correct. You should watch this to learn. Oh, Big Mouth is out. Okay, focus.
In the
Focus.
soup. I heard about in the soup. Like what the soup mean?
No, I didn't watch this. But no, this is relevant.
Yes.
If you got Disney Plus in Malaysia, I want you to watch history. Not
History
ancient
channel.
history.
Everything is
No.
about alien.
Not this guy. Lost City by Albert Lin. Okay, why? So he uses photogrammetry. So what he do is to search for pattern in the lost. In some episode, he tried to search for lost city in a known area, right? So
You know? Oh, wait. Let me see. Let me verify it.
Yep.
Do you know that Google uses it for Google Maps?
Yeah. So he uses this the same way because a certain thing only look flat if you look at the first round. So what you do is he had the drone to fly with multiple times. That to do initial check if the place makes sense. It makes sense if the land have some disturbance before he decide to get laser to fly over. Laser to fly over the area to find lost city in one of the island or one of those jungle. So either way, photogrammetry is precisely that. He used camera and more important LiDAR. So he used a lot of LiDAR to actually go through this because LiDAR can go through jungle. Then from there, he tried to derive if the land is disturbed. So often the land is flattened, right? But you can see some pattern apparently with LiDAR, you can see some pattern of photogrammetry. So you can actually use this to detect hidden city. And this is actually how people used to detect a lost city in the Amazon. Then they actually use this in Angkor Wat. So last year or 2 years back, National Geographic Society actually sponsor a project using the same technique with LiDAR, have helicopter fly around Angkor Wat. Yep.
The also oil leaks from ships.
Yep. So yeah, that is correct. So what they do is they helicopter with LiDAR fly over Angkor Wat, and they discovered that Angkor Wat are not just the town because the city outside the city they need support, right? Because otherwise you need people to live and all that. So with photogrammetry technique with LiDAR, they actually find out that there is potential. There's a lot of settlement outside Angkor Wat itself, so which is actually very cool. So that's one. Then in South America they use it to find lost city deep in the Amazon. So because people asking for a while, it's the Amazon, you got jungle, where the hell is all the people? So people thought that there's no way people can live there because the land are not fertile. Those things there's people inside, and more importantly, they found patches of land that can be used to plant stuff and can only be processed by farming society. They do find that there's clue, but they don't have LiDAR. They do not know how to use plane. The camera not that good. So either way, this resource is awesome. You not just they point you how the technique work. They point you to certification.
It's a lesson where good enough is LiDAR is the super accurate measurement.
Correct.
Where you get the point cloud, you get the right shape. Very expensive equipment, very expensive to do it.
Yes.
Photogrammetry is a story where it's good enough to get started, to get work started.
Correct.
It's not like also a story of technology. There's no something as in like something with a better pedigree should be used. It's complementing each other's.
Correct.
So I have issue sometimes with in discussion where people prefer to use the what you call the purest technology, but it's not a mutual exclusive option.
Correct.
Correct. To get LiDAR into it, literally people had to walk in there.
Yes. No, actually you can put it on helicopter, but then we don't have the budget of the National Geographic Society, so there's that. Nobody have none of us have it. Know what I mean? So yeah, precisely. So yeah lah.
And
Photogrammetry.
lighter doesn't penetrate wood.
Yes, but penetrate leaf. So yeah. Okay, National Geographic done. What else? Oh, actually, I didn't finish the link because there's a lot of stuff. Today is just a news show. I'm going to cover.
It's usual. It's us discussing on the latest happening.
Yep. This big models list, which is, in my opinion, almost every big model, every neural network out is big models nowadays. OpenAI's GPT-3 is a big model, by the way. DAL-E is a big model. DAL-E fits GPT-3 fits DAL-E. So yeah. So yeah lah. These are the list of big models. Big models as in machine learning models, not people, by the way. That will be offensive.
Well, what's wrong with both? Meanwhile, if I'm gonna add it, is that I'm this morning, like I'm actually one thing that Malaysian has to change is that our casual racism is something that I'm not okay with.
Yes, it's true.
What happened this morning is that I encountered was very tone deaf.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I did. I don't want to talk about the story, but it's actually it's something that we did that I see people did that were really offensive, but they didn't know that how offensive it was.
You know how typical is that? It's so typical in Malaysia. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it. This place a bit sucks for that reason. So, last one before I move on, before I go to that, because no, actually, last few, we had a lot of problem with this country. Racism is one. Another one is
the point is that what we can do while we're here is to make it better. I did talk to the folks about it.
Yeah,
they didn't know. It just blinded to them. It said, when you mentioned it, that's not something that is proper. But I just don't like it that we don't have that sense in the first place.
Correct. So next one is SQLite extension for querying, manipulating, and creating HTML element. Querying is weird, but generating HTML is interesting because
you can query like JSON, but for HTML.
Yeah, correct. So it's like scraping, weird, but
is this something like the XML3 parsing?
I think this is already like available in something like Nokogiri or some of the Python Beautiful Soup thing.
Yeah, but like you can use SQL.
But it's now within the SQLite engine itself.
Yeah.
I see.
So this is not this is not Beautiful Soup.
Oh yeah, there you go. Beautiful Soup or Nokogiri.
Yeah, this is not that. This is you use SQLite, which is weird. But what is interesting for me is,
I mean, if it's a well-formed XML, it's easy to put it into a relational database, right?
Yeah, correct.
But a HTML, especially HTML5, it might not be a valid XML.
Correct. So, yep. Move on.
That's
weird.
That's how much things change, right? Like back then, we talked about XHTML and the XHTML validating that it needs to be
XSLT to translate XML to HTML.
Before JavaScript.
Yes, correct. So yeah, let's move. This one is web containers is a way for you to run Node.js toolchain on your browser.
So you can run JavaScript on JavaScript engine. Wow.
Yeah, correct. With this, you do not need an operating system. You just use your browser.
It finally
and just
comes a full circle of Yodo.
Yeah. Yes, precisely. Interesting for development. Interesting for documentation. What else? I do not know, to be honest.
It's useful for in the case of I need to do editing online.
Correct. So yeah, it's available. If you have to use it, you know what? Just don't overdo it. But
people will overdo it.
Yes, I know. I seen this firsthand, but I will. If I say more, I will get fired. Okay. Okay. So his name is John Dagara. What he do? He created statistical package. He created a thing called AcePack, and which later expand to multiple library. Originally, they used that on supercomputers. Yes, but I don't have money to Wikipedia. I don't have money to. So it used to calculate agent vectors and matrices. In short, this is a matrices library, which is a grandfather of things that we use on pandas, NumPy, and all that. So this and all these are lead to computational math technique that is being used for neural network, statistical technique, image processing. So and all started with him. Let me sign in. It's free. It's free actually. So let me sign in. My password is dot 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 and dot. Oops, I just tell you my password. So yeah, he implemented AcePack, one of the Fortran library that you work with matrices, and this is the technique that bring forward to even NumPy, SciPy. In a way that NumPy actually have Fortran packages some time ago, it probably still does.
It was still pretty big back when I joined the industry. That a lot of the modeling work and calculation work was still in Fortran.
Correct. So he also contributed to this algorithms and library, and because of him, it's possible for us to do all the complex math needed to do neural network, the deep learning stuff, image processing, etc., etc. So yeah, which is why he is very well deserved with the Turing Prize in 2021. Wait, did he get it this year or last year? This
Is
year,
it
right?
different from the Turing, from the award where you can prove that a machine is?
No.
Sorry,
That's
that you can fool a human to think that you're
There's a
an
Turing
actual AI.
test.
Yeah.
This is
That's
the
a Turing test.
Award.
Turing Award is the Nobel Prize of Computer Science.
Yeah. What is the Turing test a test for the program or a test for the human?
It's both
can
actually
figure out, and they're
both
gullible
actually.
enough to believe that there's actually an AI.
It's actually both sides. Is that the human does it that look like the human to you or an AI?
Yeah, correct. Which is actually half of the season of Westworld season 1.
And the AI good enough to fool the human into thinking it's a human.
Yeah, but that's the same statement, just from different perspectives. It's always testing the computer. It's not testing the human at all. But I think it should be testing the human. Like people who fail the Turing test because of
easy. It's easy to fail these days.
Yes, it's very easy to fail. In fact, CAPTCHA is a form of Turing test, to be honest. CAPTCHA is a form. You have Turing test within the test. So, but the first few episodes of Westworld is people asking, how do you know the difference between the robot and the human? Right? In episode 4 or something, they can't find out. They do not. The only reason they know is because they had a script that the visitor know about, and that's the only reason. So thanks for his contribution to computational maths, and with this get his Turing Award. Da-da-da. Oh, okay. Move on. This one is multi-tenant and Postgres row level security, meaning each row should have. Yeah, I think this is ridiculous, but
no, it makes sense when you need it. It's an option, I would say.
The option exists, put it this way. Especially true if you work for HIPAA compliance organization, then you really need this shit, to be honest. So I'm just glad I don't have to do it.
GDPR already makes it pretty complicated, as in the record has to be deleted.
Yes. So so this actually shows you how you can do it. what you can do it, but oh my god, the policy member is so ridiculous. Look at the setup. I don't want to do this. I know how to. I know the direction to know this, but I dread actually doing this. But so when I was young and naive, I thought that when those security, we need to use row level security. Now it's like, fuck this shit, man. You're not going to need that until the law says so, and you'll probably be fine until the law catch you. To be honest,
it's actually a good story. Is that we learn to grow, to see more perspective.
yes,
But it's something that I fail to let the juniors understand. I'm not sure if we sheltered them too much or what. Is that they didn't grow into the stage where they can understand that the I would say the path of moderation.
yes.
Oh, maybe because it's such a safe environment that they feel anything they do has a safeguard.
Yep.
And that's the thing, right? If everything is safe, then you become more risk taking.
Yes.
Because you never got burnt. Basically, the people who never got burnt just will try everything until
correct.
The actual accident that they will eventually get will be fatal.
Yes.
But that will be too fatal for them when it happens.
Exactly.
Correct.
They could try.
So, which is why.
So are these people people who were never allowed to fail? So they were always like being rescued. There's always a safety net. And so
no, I mean it should not be. It should not be. The armed forces in US at least, the armed forces actually have a good model for this. What you do is drill, and you actually drill with criteria that is stricter. So, for example, cool. So, for example, you watch Top Gun. You watch the first Top Gun, not the latest one. So, in Top Gun, officially, America don't have to do air war, air-to-air combat, dogfight. The movie is in the 80s, right? Mid 80s. America don't have to do air wars since Vietnam War, so it's almost like 10 plus years. So what they do to improve the Navy airman capability in Top Gun is their rule is once you get locked, you fail your test, so you have to redo again. So in practice, when you get locked, you have ability to exist, right? So they make the criteria harder for them to test. So in armed forces, when you actually do training, they actually have to deal with simulated weapon. When you get shot, you fail. So you have to do that. So in this case, for our developers, what I would propose is that you would have a development environment that can fail.
Let them fail, but fail safely.
Yes, make sure that they feel the consequences, and the consequences is very important. But the consequences can be a rule that you set up, or something tangible. And for us, it's very easy to do because currently one of the policy is for dev environment that get full access. So you mess up the database, you have to set up yourself, for example, right? But there will be a point where this may be a problem because if you automate too much, now it's not as painful as this. So you need to.
It also make them too easy for them to.
Correct. Which is another thing that I've heard from Planet Money, or was it? What's the psychology? You're not so smart. So autopilot actually cause some failure because people trust autopilot too much without enough training. So without enough safety. So the way to do that again is drill. So you have to.
I heard the main reason of the Top Gun program is to reduce error during the life, right?
Correct.
So at least they have experience with flying and things first.
Yes, which is why in the armed forces they have adversarial training. So in this case, chaos, which is why in DevOps and all that we have chaos engineering.
We have red blue team.
Yeah, we don't have red blue team, but I want to do chaos engineering in my team. one day. As a test easy about that. We should do test.
We do simple one. We just shut down servers.
Yeah. So the point is for us software developers to if we automate too much, then we should really have all this drill, schedule it, even schedule it, and all that. Make it consequent. You have to set up your own criteria for consequences. Then teach them. You had a development environment, use it. Otherwise, if they're going to mess up the production environment, they're just going to get fired immediately. They're not. It's be just worse. Then they don't have the chance to learn deep enough.
Or they just do something and just leave the organization.
Or worse, leave the industry and that's about it. We lose one more person, which is depends on who you say.
Well, if that person can cause much harm, I would say that's a good news.
Yeah, but for me, I would prefer that let's grow. We got a dev environment, grow the hell out of it, right? So yeah, so this is why we need training very well. So, and also you need people with experience, and of course, also senior engineers need to be more assertive, as in we need to shout at people when something is stupid is being done.
Well, maybe that's the thing, right? But if you prevent them from making stupid things, they never get to learn that stupid means consequences.
I have story that will get myself fired. I will tell you after this. In short. But yeah, you as a senior when you have the power to set up things, make sure that they're able to fail in development. That's the thing I want to say. So with that said, that's pretty much everything. So I got 5 minutes to run about AWS FTR. Okay, I won't get fired for that. It's a tips, okay? It's a tips. It's a tips for you guys. When you want to take a test, take as much time as you can and think about how you want to grow your organization. And your organization size may not be about people. It can be about roles. More importantly, it's about capacity and capability. So think about things like you've got more customer. Can you handle it? How you handle it? Then you realize that isolate a more fine-tuned IM policy is a good idea when your customer reach a certain size where they demand things, or you want to go into a more secure sector that demand more security. So, for example, you finally work with a bank, right? You finally work with a bank. Then they demand that the customer, and you happen to have to process customer data. Very weird, almost never happened, but let's say this does happen.
Bank is not compliant of that, I would say.
It's not, but let's say you know, like, yeah, they want that and whatever, you try your best to do that.
You know, everybody who has access to a terminal is actually a god mode.
Correct.
That's how they can do customer service.
Correct.
For you.
So you have to think about that as well. So it's a balance now. On one hand, you want to do it properly. The FTR will tell you that it will align to that role. It will align to that role. So it will align to that situation. So, for example, they will require you to set up IAM policy at top multiple times, and then they will require you to build your infrastructure in subnets. So you should have things go in through subnet so they can isolate properly. So, for example, so you keep your network in layers. In early on, you think like why, but in practice, you may want to hide your database behind. You may want to limit the blast radius by splitting your RDS in one subnet. Your other processing is on another subnet, and you may want to only certain service in public subnet, the rest in private subnet, etc. So you have to start thinking about that, and it helps when you grow your organization and you will take the time to do it. So, for example, they also require you to do things like.
So the test is actually good.
It's good process, but it's not something that you want to rush your way through. Because let's say you use a lot of shortcut to download your images. from an S3, that will fail the test. They will want you to use signed URL because they want you to encrypt your S3 bucket, for example.
Yeah. Also, make sure you are not susceptible to the supply chain issue.
Correct. They don't have that. They don't have that, but they want us to do security scan. So those are basic things. And security scan is something as easy as 3V. So they don't even ask you to get to do pen test actually. If you want to do it,
3V is pretty good. It's a pretty good
yeah.
command.
If you want to use, if you want to do pen test, good for you, right? You will check the checkbox, but you don't have to. All you need to do is just start. So it's not too strict, to be honest. It's not too strict, but when you do that, it's very good for your policy. It's very good for your IT policy. But certain things is just ridiculous. So, for example, they want you to split your development environment into two. Okay, do you know that on AWS you can have sub-organization? They call it account.
We just set up ours. You started with a root account.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you have the subs.
So for us, what they want from the FTR is you need to have a production account and the development account. So back to what we said earlier just now about a failed development environment. So you can potentially give godmode access to the development account to the developers for them to fail. And that's a training ground. That's a training ground. So as I say, it's a good idea. It's a good idea if you start doing it. It might be a bit rushing, but it gives you a lot of good idea to do things. So it's not a bad thing at all. It's just that I feel like it's a bit bureaucratic that you have to follow. So if your infrastructure are not planned to do this in the beginning, it'll be very painful. But more often than not,
I think generally if you don't deviate too much from the best practices, it's not really a huge change. Like for me, like for our private cloud, it's not much difference.
Yeah, because for a lot of startup that I work with, the user policy is so lax, right? Because
it's lax for us but it's easy for us to patch it in. I mean, as in if you want to.
Yeah, so you need to. Those are the thing lah. So you need to start planning out your access and all that lah, and that is a bit hard lah. It's not too bad. I mean, it's bad for me, but it's not for the reason I complain about. But that being said, FTR drive me nuts, and I'm going to have 1 week holiday after I'm doing this. Actually, I'm going to have 1 week holiday after this. Then what? I do not know. It's very likely somewhere in KL, or maybe a day trip to Penang.
Or take a train to somewhere.
Yeah. So it's very likely Penang. I don't know yet. I don't have a strong
When
plan.
are you going to Penang?
Huh?
When are you going to Penang?
The week after next week, very likely.
If you're going to Penang at end of August, then you can catch us at Penang Pack. We'll be doing performance there.
Okay.
The weekend of 27, 28, 29, around that time.
Okay.
That should be the holidays, I think.
Yep. Let me think about it. I don't have a strong.
But the traffic will be crazy though.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's close to the National Day.
Yeah. So with that said, well, thanks for listening. You can see our link on the website now because I'm a bit more this. So yeah.
Thank you, Swimming, for doing it.
Yes. No problem. So thanks for listening. We should say goodbye now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So see ya, people. We have no audience, but yeah. And